Hi, everybody. This is Kendell Lenice, and welcome to Kendell Lenice Live. We are changing the narrative over here, especially in the Black community. It's so important to have honest and real conversations laced with compassion. This podcast is all about education, elevation, and entertainment. Um, and I'm so glad that you're here. Had some technical difficulties, but that's all right. So I apologize if you are watching live, but if you're watching on the playback, you're definitely going to get something from this conversation. I am pleased to have Natalie Alexander. She is a LPC and the
Yes.
host of My Butterfly podcast. She considers herself to be more than a therapist. She's a healer, an intuitive woman whose heart is for the improvement of humanity through healthy conversations. I'm already excited about this interview before we even, because when I read that, I was like, this is a woman after my own heart. Her empathetic approach is an authentic aspect of her healing technique and provides an organic connection to those who she counsels. Her work also, uh, always connects with her audience and they're a witness to what she is doing. Her work, which is her show, will provide homework for the audience, things that we can do to help ourselves in our own relationships. This is an audience engagement opportunity. So, without further ado, I want to welcome Natalie Alexander to Kendall and East Live. How are you?
Thank you, Kendall. I'm great. I'm great. I'm grateful that you have me here, and I'm excited. Doing good.
I'm excited to have you. And we didn't plan, but we both have on a yellow mustardy
Yes,
color.
yes. And I want you to know that the butterfly I was going to wear was blue, but I just couldn't find it quick enough. So we're just working with what we have because I see the
Wow. Wow.
accent. So
Well, you look beautiful.
thank you.
It's so
Likewise.
interesting when your publicist sent this to me. And I do a podcast and a talk show, and I have different platforms for different conversations.
Yeah.
And when she sent me your bio and talked about who you are and what you were trying to do. I said, definitely, I want to have her on
Thank
this
you.
platform because I like to have honest conversations. And really, this is what this talk show is about. So, you started off talking about butterflies. And I love butterflies. Who doesn't love butterflies?
Right.
But can you explain why you decided to name your podcast My Butterfly Podcast?
It is reflective of the work and the transformation that I have been going through personally, having been divorced and just kind of relearning myself and learning about the freedom that I have to live and to be authentic. I even went so far as to, I mean, I've been divorced. A few years now, and so not to age myself, I don't want anybody out here doing any mathematics or any arithmetic here to figure things out, but I did get a tattoo of butterflies, and that's just kind of where it evolved, just to reflect, like I said, the transformation of life and the emergence of a new, more colorful, more vibrant version of me.
Yeah. And you know what? The what a butterfly symbols, I think as women, we have all gone through that metamorphosis.
Hmm.
Whether it's divorce, whether it's healing from sickness, whether it's
Hmm.
getting out of toxic relationships, whether it's having family issues or trauma or whatever it is, I think that we all go through this metamorphosis. So
Yes.
what a great name to have your podcast, because when I heard it, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to get
Right.
with this podcast. I
Right.
want to talk about, as a therapist, because some people don't know what LPC is. And can you explain that for those that don't know? Because somebody out there is going to be like, well, is she a counselor? Is she a therapist? What is LPC? Could you explain that before we go further?
Sure, definitely. LPC stands for Licensed Professional Counselor. It
Mhm.
basically says that I have been credentialed and approved by the states in which I practice. Currently, Alabama and Georgia have approved me as capable and capable of practicing as a therapist and counselor in these states. Licensed professional counselors can do in terms of practice. Everything that a PhD can do. We
Yeah.
diagnose, we dive deep, we explore deep things. The only difference is that PhDs obviously have gone through the dissertation part of things, and they also have done research. My side of things as a licensed professional counselor is more on the clinical side. We stay, in the clinic and in therapy, versus PhDs do more research, more assessing.
Yeah, I love that. And because I want people to understand what you do exactly,
Mhm,
if they couldn't figure it out by LPC, because I
mhm,
want to be clear, because we talked earlier
mhm.
about that doctorate and having that doctor in front of your name. Why do you think that people often do that? Are they speaking into your life, or is it something that you wish to pursue?
It is definitely something that I wish to pursue. People often, like many times, they'll refer to me as Dr. Natalie, and several times, because I don't want to mislead. It's important to not mislead
Mhm.
people. I do correct. I say I'm not a doctor. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and very quickly they'll say, "Well, I'm just speaking into your existence," and they will continue to refer to me as Dr. Natalie. So,
Right.
I choose my battles, and I look forward to becoming Dr. Natalie Alexander within the next maybe 5 or 6 years.
I
I
love that.
project, I manifest, I'll put
Yeah.
it out there.
I love that. So you spoke about divorce, and I'm divorced as well. I've been divorced, I should say. What has that taught you about your womanhood?
Ooh, I'm so glad you asked about my womanhood. Ooh, the divorce has taught me that as a woman, I have been more I have been imbalanced in my approach to, I was imbalanced in my approach to relationships, in my approach to the man in my life, my response to him, in the sense of emotional, right? Emotionally. And even as such, I'm seeing that a lot of our women in our community hear their partners with their emotion and
Mhm.
neglect to hear him
Mhm.
from a logical space, right? Because I hear a
Mhm.
lot of men say, I said what I said, like just hear what I
Mhm.
said, please take what I said at face value. But we're
Mhm.
hearing the whole Disney movie, and it and it affects our emotions. It validates whatever negativity we're rehearsing and repeating, and it's to the demise of the relationship. Now, I'm not saying that I was 100% at fault. We all have equal share, maybe not equal share of responsibility, but that was definitely one thing that I did recognize on the other side of the divorce.
I love that. How has it made you a more aware woman
I have
as
learned
far
how.
as emotionally?
Yes, I have learned to assess my emotions, right? Whatever, if I'm misinterpreting something, then I will ask where that came from. So I was with my ex-husband, my co-parent, and we were having dinner with one of our children, dinner, breakfast, brunch, whatever. And he had said something that triggered me. It brought me all the way back, and
Yeah.
I felt myself spiraling, and I had to tell myself that is not what he meant, and that's not what this is. And when he noticed that something was off, he asked, and I told him it was when you said XYZ. And that was my opportunity to observe myself and to see that I have to bring myself back to the present. I am here, I'm at
Yeah.
this table, there was not any ill intention. Let's continue to have a good time versus rehearsing, like I said, the narrative that's connected to my trauma.
I love that. And as a certified life coach myself, I always speak about when I'm coaching someone, yes, I have the education, I have the degrees, I have the certifications, but my life, in my experience, to me, that tops all of that. Do you feel that way as a therapist when you are counseling someone or someone's?
I definitely do not use my life as a reference point
Mm-hmm.
when I'm providing therapy, because it's important for me to stay objective.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, if something does come up in my mind where I think I need to share something personal about my life where I can relate, or I think they might relate, I often ask permission. I often say,
Yeah,
There's something that I want to share. It's personal. Do you
absolutely.
mind? Is it okay if I share it?" And I give them the space to say, "No, I don't really want to hear about
Yeah.
your life. I'm not here about you. I'm here
Well,
about me." Right?
yeah,
And so we discuss. I'll share, and
yeah,
oftentimes, thankfully, it resonates. But more, it's important for me to stay objective. And I'll say sometimes, a lot of times, their story does move me,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes, very rarely, it'll move me to tears. And
Yeah,
it's important for me to not express the tears
yeah,
all the way, because once
yeah,
again, it becomes about me, not them. And
yeah,
sometimes clients feel like they have to console the therapist when they move
yeah.
into that space, right? So,
Well, let me rephrase that.
okay.
Let me rephrase that question, because I totally get that. And I'm the same way. You can't do that because it's not about you in any
Right.
session. It's about them. Let me rephrase that. When I'm speaking of that, I mean internally. Does
Mm,
your experiences make you a better therapist? Does it
absolutely.
prepare you more? That was really the question
Absolutely.
that I wanted.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So when
Absolutely.
you went there, I was like, let me rephrase that, because it was probably, yeah. Does that make you a better therapist as far as empathy, compassion, understanding, and without even sharing your personal business, because that's a no no. You're not supposed to do that.
Right.
But inside, internally, as you are counseling somebody.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It enhances my empathy. It
Yeah.
enhances the compassion. Um, yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. As I was told, and reading your bio, you are influenced by two women that I've been influenced by, Oprah and Iyanla. And I
Yes.
must say that I had a pleasure and opportunity to be on the OWN network to speak during Iyanla Fix My Life. So I get it, right? When you say
Okay.
that, and wrote about Oprah as a little girl saying I wanted to be like Oprah and sending the letter and all of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So we definitely have that in common. How have they influenced your life and continue to influence your life in what you do in your profession?
As I watch Oprah and her Super Soul Sundays, I enjoy watching those ones, and her interest in the out of the box, things out of the box, things unconventional with the questions that she poses. Of course, that's probably the journalist in her, and just her sincerity
Yeah,
in her conversation really moves me. And as far as Mama Iyanla is concerned, the depth and the passion and the moving of her spirit
yeah,
when she's engaging with her people, I resonate with it. And
yeah,
some of my clients have actually told me that, as the young people say, "Yeah, you're giving Iyanla," like the energy is giving Iyanla. So
I love
I'm
that.
I'm cool with that. I'm good with that. And I can see what they're talking about as I engage and as we get into tough spaces where we have to push through, and I connect on another level with my
Yeah.
clients.
Well, I can see that you're giving, Iyanla. And there is a space open because Iyanla's not doing Fix My Life anymore. And I understand that you have a show idea which is brilliant, and it really touches my heart. What type of show do you want to do for low income to no income couples? I think that that's it's fantastic.
I thank you. I thank you. It's called or I'm wanting to coin it from worse to better. And it's a play on words, the marital vows, for better or for
Mhm.
worse. And so
Yeah.
when they come to me, we journey through from worse to better. Now, I didn't say from worse to perfection. It's just from worse to better, where we can get a sense of a balance, right? And my audience, the low to no income, these are people who typically could not
Mm-hmm.
enter into a therapy room, or may not want to for that matter. But I'm wanting to get somebody, with me so that we can exemplify and model what it is to work through difficult situations, what it is to work through a relationship and balance emotions, get the communication right, and get to the other side of better.
I love that. Let's talk about that for a moment because I've had to learn to do that. And as you spoke earlier, in some case you had to learn to do that. Let's talk about emotional intelligence and balancing those emotions. A couple comes to you, and that's where you want to lie, where you want to start. What would you say to them, and what would you say to our audience who are struggling to balance their emotions?
I would say that it's okay to feel what you feel, but it's also important to identify. They're talking about emotional intelligence, to know what you are feeling, to put the words to what you are feeling. I feel disrespected. I feel unheard. And a lot of times, whenever I ask that question, the first time I ask that question, I will get answers such as, I think he or I think she needs to. I didn't ask you what you think, I asked you what you felt. So
Yeah.
then we redirect to the feeling. I recommend that they use, when they have discussions and when they're addressing some things, start with I feel and then
Mhm.
dot dot dot. Because more times than not, your partner is not intending to make you feel a
Right.
negative emotion. More times than not, he wants you to be happy. She
Right.
wants you to love her. So let's go with that. And then I encourage them to move through a space of resolve, resolution. What's the goal of this argument? What's the goal of this discussion? Where do we want this thing to go? I just want to be able to discuss the budget. I just want regular sex. I just want you to help me with the kids. That's all. That's why we're having this discussion. And
Yeah.
so it mitigates the rabbit hole. We get straight to the point, and it's a practice. It's not something
Yeah.
that a lot of our couples can do right
Yeah.
away, but we practice.
I love that because the argument is never about the shoes in the middle of the floor.
No.
That's just that tipping point.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
um, let's talk improving humanity through healthy relationships because people often think relationships, they think romantic,
Mhm.
but our lives are um, built on relationships. And
Mhm.
having a healthy relationship is so essential to being able to connect with someone. So
Mhm.
let's talk about improving humanity through healthy relationships. Can you talk a little about that, please?
Definitely. Improving humanity through relationships involves looking at examining the relationship that is the undercurrent of the issue of the problem. So it
Yeah.
could be a relationship with oneself if it's anxiety, if it could be a relationship with your parent, father or mother. We got to look at that, and then we make resolution with that. We bring compassion to it through different ways, and then we move forward. Once we see ourselves in a more positive light, then we can approach the world as we see ourselves, and then improve the relationships with the people around us.
Yeah. And it's so important. What do you find when it's when someone is trying to establish a healthy relationship, right? Whatever type of relationship it may be. What do you find the barriers to be when pursuing a healthy relationship?
Culture, the African American culture, because one of the things that is paramount to a healthy relationship is boundaries. The amount of people that have said, I'm afraid to set a boundary with my parent because they will see me as disrespectful and I don't want them to feel like I'm being disrespectful, or I'm going to make them sad, I'm going to make them cry, I don't want to make them cry, so I'm afraid. We work months on getting them to a space where we can find the verbiage that will communicate love and boundaries and still repair and improve a relationship. Um, yes, there was one more thing I wanted to say, but it escaped me. It'll come back in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when people talk about self love, right, and practicing self love
Mhm,
and self care,
mhm,
people think that self care is, and it is, it's a part of it, like going to get a massage or going for a walk or
right,
taking an off day or mental health day.
right.
But setting boundaries is also self-care. So I
Yes.
want you to live there for a moment and talk about the importance of boundaries overall and how that can affect your in a positive way, your emotional health.
Definitely. So boundaries, what I want to say is that boundaries don't need to be set and established when you're angry. You're not
Hmm.
going to do this. You're not going to talk to me. That's not the time to
Right.
set a boundary. Set a
Right.
boundaries after you've thought about yourself, you've thought about how you feel and how you respond in a certain situation. And once again, you lead with, I feel unheard when you overtalk me, when you interrupt me. Moving forward, I'm just asking that you wait until I'm finished speaking. And if that's not what you want to do, here's the boundary. If you can't do that, then we're going to have to just limit our conversations. That's the
Yeah.
boundary, right? And the good news, this is what I want to say. The good news is your loved ones will learn. They might not like the boundaries, especially if you're not accustomed to having and setting the boundaries, but it's a
Yeah.
learning curve for everybody. We learn, we practice. And I
Yeah.
also like to say, if you're going to set a boundary, make sure that it's a boundary that you know you will keep and that you will maintain. Don't let them be porous, meaning just flexible and today's this and tomorrow it's that. It's got
Mhm.
to be firm and established, something you can maintain. We're going to cut our conversations short if you're going to raise your voice. And then the next time he or she raises her voice, it's, I'll talk to you later when you can speak a little bit more calmer. And every time after that, we're just learning. It's just learning and it takes time
Yeah.
sometimes. Mhm.
Yeah. And it does, like you said, if you it takes a long time or it takes time to be able to reestablish when something has already been established.
Yes.
And I agree, like even in the Black community, it's like, how dare you put your mother on a timeout? That's how they look at it. How dare you
Yeah.
disrespect? How dare you say I have to hang up if
Yes.
they're still talking? You know
Yes.
what I mean?
It's
How
nerve
dare
wracking.
you? You know, because I can even think about me. I'm in my 50s, and I can think of my mom. I'm like, Mom, you do know how old I am because you had me, right?
Right.
So it's trying to find that healthy balance and to explain, like you said, when you're not upset, but to explain, this is what I have to do for me,
Right.
and it may take some time to adjust, but if there's love and respect there, then I think that it can happen. Do you agree?
I do. I do. I do. I do. I do. I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
So you are working on a book, and the title already, I'm for it because there's so many people out there that experience it. Talk about your upcoming book. I'm excited about that. And you have to come back to promote that.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a couple of books. So Church Hurt No More is the one book that I'm working on, and another one that I'm still formulating is The Bliss of Being. But Church Hurt No More is really addressing how to live our lives beyond church hurt, beyond the wound of being in a space where we thought we were welcomed and loved and accepted, and realizing that we weren't. And
Yeah.
so still being able to be spiritual and know that you're spiritual, know that God sees you and loves you,
Yeah.
and be in a different space, whether you choose to go to church moving forward or not. And I know I might have said something controversial just then, because we are a church going people, but we're also individuals and we're also different. And God loves each and every one of us specifically, uniquely, and in intentionally. Yes.
And you know what? I totally agree 100%. I want you to quickly, just in case, because of the diverse audience, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
explain quickly what church hurt is? Because somebody might be wondering. Somebody's listening and saying, "Yep, I experienced it," and somebody
Mhm.
might be saying, "Well, what is that?"
What church hurt is a title given to people who have been hurt by members of the church that they've attended,
Hmm.
emotionally hurt, and the hurt has not been repaired, meaning um, there is no accountability, no resolution, no reconciliation, and that person that's experiencing church hurt sees the church in a negative light versus the church as just a separate entity from who they are as an individual, and they carry that indefinitely.
Well said. Well said. All right. As we end, before we play our game, were you told that we have a game at the
I
end?
was told. I was told.
Okay. Okay. Before we play, I want you to tell the folks about your nonprofit and your podcast.
Yes, my nonprofit, the Butterfly Institute, and the website is the Butterfly Institute of Wellness at butterflyinstituteofwellness.org. And this is where I will be holding live events and virtual events for couples, just giving information and working through a lot of what we talked about today: communication, boundaries, healing relationships, and things of that nature. What was the other thing I
Your podcast and your
my
nonprofit.
podcast, the Butterfly
Mhm.
Podcast. Ooh, yes, we just recorded a new episode with Dr. Christopher Thompson. We talked about resilience. Beautiful
Mm,
episode. And I just want to say that even while we were discussing it, it moved me to tears a little bit. I was
wow.
wiping tears as we were talking because we are a resilient people.
Yeah.
Even, but what we have to learn as a people is to no longer survive as a result of our resilience, but we have to start to thrive, learn
Absolutely.
how to be in the present, learn how to interact with ourselves and each other
Yeah.
in a way that is progressive and loving and not so survival based. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
I love that, and I can't wait to listen. And it's so important that you said that, and I want to re-stress that because a lot of times, as in our community, we're on survival mode and not even know it.
My
It
goodness.
becomes a way of life, and we're living to survive and not even understanding the concept of thriving,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
then we'll see someone else thriving, and sometimes it's difficult for some people to I even identify what is that.
What is that?
Like, you're not surviving from day to day, week to week, month to month. So
Right.
I really am in this talk show is all about changing the narrative in our community, and I
Nice.
want to change that narrative. So I'm so glad that you talked about that.
Thank you.
All right, we're ready for the game,
All
and
right.
because our time is a little off because of the technical, I know somebody's gonna be like, "Well, where's the game show music?" We're not doing that. We're jumping right in.
Okay.
Natalie is super special, so we're gonna go right through. But
Okay.
pretend like you see the 5 minutes of fun. That's what we're gonna have.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
thank you. I thank you so much for joining me, and I want to get the particulars out of the way, and then we'll play our game and we'll end the show.
Sounds good.
How can if someone is listening, watching, um how can they get in touch with you, and how can you said your license in Alabama, and you said another state,
Georgia.
Georgia. So how can they get connect with you on social media, and if they want to seek you as their therapist?
If on social media at Natalie Alexander LPC, that's on Instagram, and Natalie Alexander on Facebook. I do Mental Health Monday talks every Monday, and so we get a little bites of wisdom. And in addition to, geez, what was the other thing? Oh, to reach out to me if you want to
Yeah.
have me as your therapist, please email me at thehealinggracecounseling.com. That's thehealinggracecounseling.com.
All right, let's get it. 5 minutes of fun. So, how this works, Natalie, is I'm going to give two options. You're going to choose one. You're not going to elaborate, you're not going to explain. You're just going to answer. You ready?
Yes.
All right. This or that, breakfast or dinner,
Dinner.
spring or fall,
Spring.
night owl or early bird.
Night owl.
I know, me too. Hidden talent. So, what is a hidden talent that people don't know Natalie Alexander, excuse me, has?
I can speak pig Latin.
What? I love it. What makes you laugh out loud? Like, literally.
um, just unexpected jokes that make me just unexpected jokes that make me laugh, really
I
laugh.
love
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
Favorite movie? You'll watch it anytime it's on, no matter if it's in the beginning, middle, or end, you're going to watch it.
Antoine Fisher.
Oh, oh, you want to cry. That's such a good movie,
It
though.
is a
But
good.
whew, it's a tearjerker.
Yes.
Your go-to song. What is your theme music? What is Natalie Alexander's theme music?
I'm every woman.
Love that. Which version?
All of them.
We're winding down. What would people be surprised to know about you?
That I've had 3 children.
Wow, nice. All right, using the first letter of your first name, describe yourself with that one word.
Nice.
Love it. I knew you were going to say that. I feel
I
that.
was gonna say something else, but I was gonna say nasty, but that wouldn't have come up.
You can say nicey.
Nice. There we go. Nice.
All right, last one, Natalie. What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is water, have just sitting with people that love me and that I love. That brings me joy. Dancing with people that I love and that love me. That brings me ultimate joy. Just dancing with people.
I
Love it.
love that.
Yes, ma'am.
I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you. I knew you were my kind of woman.
Yay, thank
Natalie,
you.
I thank you so much for joining me on Kendell Lenice Live. This was awesome. I would love to further our conversation when your books come out. I would love to have you back and maybe be a part of my authors panel, which I often have.
I would love that. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Kendall. Thank you for
And
having
you
me. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Kendell Lenice Live. Make sure you follow Natalie on all social media platforms. And if you're interested in therapy, counseling, make sure you give her a call if you are in Georgia or Alabama.
Alabama. Mhm.
Absolutely. But I thank everybody for watching, whether you're watching it live with us or the playback. If you have any questions for Natalie, definitely put them in the comment section or connect with her. I'd like to have conversations right here on this platform as well. Let me know what your favorite part of the episode was. Let me know what you learned because it's so important to learn something new every day. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Remember, you are a star. Don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace.
Right.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining
you're
me.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
for watching Kendall Lenice Live. God bless you.